I watched Hellraiser 9 and Hellraiser 10, also known as Hellraiser Revelations and Hellraiser Judgment, and here are my thoughts. Also, thank you for the 300 plus views on my I Watched 4 Disturbing Movies video that I made a little bit ago. Alright, I first watched Hellraiser 9, also known as Hellraiser Revelations. Two friends in Mexico discover the Lament configuration and unleash Pinhead, but one decides to try to survive by swapping himself with someone else. Once they go missing, family members go in search of them, but find Pinhead instead. So this film's pretty bad. I've got quite a few things I dislike about it. One being Pinhead looks kind of goofy. I don't want to be mean to the actor or anything, but this Pinhead kind of has a baby face, so whenever I see Pinhead, I can't really take him seriously. I'll also say there's too much sexual content in this film. Like, whoever made it just needs to calm down. Also, the characters in this film were quite unlikable. I mean, films don't have to have likable characters, but just an observation I had. I thought these characters were unlikable. None of them I really cared for. I'm also not good at telling if people's acting are bad or not in film. That's a problem I have. I have a hard time telling, but I could tell that the acting in this film was not great. I will also say it does have a small budget, and it kind of shows. It also has a small like found footage element. It's not used very much, but I think that's interesting. I'm not the biggest fan of found footage, I don't think, so I don't think I cared for that particularly, but it at least is something unique. I will say, though, this film has decent gore. Okay, the other film I watched was Hellraiser 10, also known as Hellraiser Judgment. Three detectives trying to stop a diabolical serial killer are sucked into a maze of otherworldly horror, where hellish denizens, including the auditor, the assessor, and the jury, await to pass judgment. So this film is one that I thought had a really interesting concept, and it could have been executed a lot better. I really wish this film was executed better because it felt a little bit more up my alley. Alright, so my first problem with this film is it just has too much nudity. I think this film's pretty gory, but I think it could have upped it. This film is kind of gives this Saw 3 vibe with like these bodily fluids. I feel like they could have upped it a little bit more. I also really like how this film expands the Hellraiser lore. It gives us these new characters, these non-Cenobite characters like the Auditor, and I just think that's really interesting, and it's kind of cool to see the Hellraiser lore expand, and we can see all these other characters. And I like this like gritty, it's like a Saw-like vibe, similar to like I think Saw 3. So honestly, I think this film had potential, but I do think it fell short by quite a lot. It's not a very good film, but I think it at least had potential. So those are my opinion on those two Hellraiser films. I'd love to know your guys' opinion. I'm doing this a little bit early, so I don't know if my brain's fully there. Also, I'm like recovering from being sick. But with that, I would love to know your opinion on these films. Bye.